made his great horror pictures, of which you were a great part of back in the 40s.
Yes, well, Val came into RKO in early.
I always believe the ultimate goal is to get the best picture one can, and the filmmaking process demands a collaborative effort.
Robert Wise never wanted his name above the title. He started in RKO's shipping room in 1933, worked his way to sound editor, then film editor. By 1941, at just 26 years old, he was cutting Citizen Kane alongside Orson Welles. He won 4 Oscars across 6 decades.
His list of accomplishments could reach the skies, and you can tell right away when you look in his eyes.
West Side Story and The Sound of Music made him Hollywood royalty. But critics called him the anti-auteur because he had no signature style. Wise didn't care about that label. He believed directors should serve the story, not the other way around. He mastered horror with Val Lewton, learned deep focus from Welles, perfected noir with Robert Ryan. He made musicals, science fiction, westerns, and war films. Each one looked different because each one demanded something different. His philosophy was simple: tailor yourself to the film, not the film to yourself. His favorite movies reveal a craftsman studying other craftsmen. These are the 10 films that taught Robert Wise how to become Robert Wise. They're lessons in editing, atmosphere, social conscience, and the invisible art of making audiences feel without showing them how. 10. The Hunchback of Notre Dame, 1939. Wise was just an assistant editor when he worked on this one. He watched William Dieterle direct Charles Laughton's Quasimodo through the moviola, frame by frame. The Gothic shadows and expressionist lighting burned into his memory. This was his film school, learning how editors create rhythm from a director's vision. Laughton's performance taught him something crucial about monsters. Quasimodo wasn't scary because of his appearance. He was tragic because of his humanity. That lesson would echo through Wise's entire career, from The Body Snatcher to The Day the Earth Stood Still. The outsider, the creature, the alien, they're all searching for connection in a world that fears them.
And that's right, we went up to see this guy, and that's the man that's in the suit. He was about 7'1" or 7'2", something like that.
The film's atmospheric approach to horror influenced everything Wise would do with Val Lewton. Notre Dame's bell tower became a template for creating dread through architecture and shadow. You don't need to show the horror explicitly. You just need to make the audience feel the stone walls closing in. 9. The Body Snatcher, 1945. Wise called this his personal favorite among his own films. His third collaboration with producer Val Lewton taught him that terror lives in suggestion, not spectacle.
I'd like to have you prove that a lot of things I know haven't hurt Toddy McFarlane in it.
Boris Karloff plays a grave robber supplying cadavers to Henry Daniel's ambitious surgeon. The horror isn't in the bodies. It's in the moral rot that comes from making deals with darkness. Lewton's philosophy was simple. What you don't see is scarier than what you do.
I don't think there's a single picture he made which he didn't do the final.
Wise directed The Body Snatcher on a poverty budget that forced creativity. Every shadow had to work overtime. Every creak of a floorboard had to suggest the presence of death. The rave reviews established Wise as a director who understood the atmosphere. This film connected directly to The Haunting 18 years later. Both films understand that true horror is psychological. It's not the ghost in the hallway. It's the character's mind unraveling as they wonder if the ghost is real. Wise learned from Lewton that the audience's imagination is the most powerful special effect. 8. The Setup, 1949. Wise spent weeks in shabby boxing arenas researching this one. He photographed fighters and their desperate fans. He watched old boxers take punishment for nickels. Robert Ryan plays Stoker Thompson, an over-the-hill fighter who refuses to take a dive.
Thanks. Well fight, Lou. Hey, Stoker. Good luck.
The film unfolds in real time across 72 minutes. Every punch lands like mortality itself. This is where Wise proved his editing background made him a better director.
Technicians, writers, musicians, all who did such a tremendous job in helping us put West Side Story up on the screen. Thank you.
The setup moves with the rhythm of a human heartbeat. No extra music except what comes from the arena radio. Just the crowd noise, the leather hitting flesh, the breathing of men who know they're one punch from oblivion. The film won the Critics' Prize at Cannes. Martin Scorsese studied this film before making Raging Bull. Quentin Tarantino referenced it in Pulp Fiction's Bruce Willis storyline. Wise understood boxing as a metaphor for working-class survival. Every fight is about dignity. Every round is about refusing to quit even when quitting makes sense. The setup taught him that realism is a moral choice. 7. The Magnificent Ambersons, 1942. This is the film that haunted Robert Wise for 40 years. Orson Welles shot a masterpiece. RKO Studios panicked after test screenings. They ordered Wise to re-edit it while Welles was in Brazil. Wise cut over 40 minutes.
But what he might break down and cry if he tried to speak of it. Isn't that so, Georgie?
He shot new scenes, including a different ending. He knew Welles would hate what the studio forced him to do. Welles held a grudge until 1984. They finally reconciled publicly when the Directors Guild honored Welles with a Lifetime Achievement Award. They shook hands on stage. Wise had been carrying that guilt for 4 decades.
To the executives and all who make pictures possible, and to the audiences who respond.
He knew he'd participated in mutilating a work of genius, but he was 27 years old and the studio owned the negative. The Magnificent Ambersons is still extraordinary, even in its butchered form. Stanley Cortez's cinematography, Agnes Moorehead's performance, the tracking shots through the Amberson mansion. Wise learned a hard lesson about artistic compromise. Sometimes the studio wins, sometimes you have to live with what you did to survive. 6. The Informer, 1935. John Ford's fog-drenched Dublin masterpiece. Wise worked as sound editor on this one. Victor McLaglen won the Oscar playing Gypo Nolan, a man who betrays his friend for 20 pounds. The film is pure German expressionism transplanted to Ireland. Every shadow carries guilt. Every streetlight illuminates moral decay. Wise learned from Ford how sound creates atmosphere. The footsteps echoing on cobblestones. The distant singing from a pub. The silence when Gypo realizes what he's done. Max Steiner's score doesn't just accompany the action, it becomes Gypo's conscience. The music is guilt-given melody. The Informer influenced all of Wise's noir work. Born to Kill, Blood on the Moon, Odds Against Tomorrow. They all use shadow and sound to explore moral darkness. Ford proved that genre films could be art, that B-picture material could carry the weight of tragedy. Wise never forgot that lesson. He applied it across 40 years of filmmaking in every genre Hollywood had. 5. Top Hat 1935. Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers dancing to Irving Berlin's songbook. Wise worked as an editor at RKO when this film reminded Depression audiences what joy looked like. Pure escapism as high art. The precision required to cut dance sequences taught him about rhythm in ways no other genre could. Dance editing is its own language. You can't cut on any random frame. You have to feel where the movement wants to breathe. Astaire and Rogers moved like physics didn't apply to them. The editor's job was to honor that illusion, to make the cuts invisible. Every frame had to serve the flow. Top Hat connects directly to West Side Story and The Sound of Music decades later. Wise understood that musicals demand technical perfection in service of emotional truth. The audience shouldn't see the craft. They should only feel the moment when Astaire and Rogers become weightless. That's the invisible art. That's what Wise spent his career pursuing across every genre. 4. Battleship Potemkin, 1925. Sergei Eisenstein's Odessa Step sequence is the most famous piece of editing in cinema history. Every film student studies it. Wise studied it like scripture. The way Eisenstein creates rhythm through montage, the baby carriage rolling down the steps, the soldiers fired in geometric formations, the people running, time stretches and compresses simultaneously. Eisenstein proved that editing isn't just about cutting film. It's about creating meaning through collision. When you place two images next to each other, they create a third idea that neither image contains alone. That's the theory of montage. That's the foundation of cinema as an art form distinct from theater or literature. Wise applied Eisenstein's lessons across his entire career. The breakfast sequence in Citizen Kane uses montage to show a marriage deteriorating across years. The Jets and Sharks dancing in West Side Story creates meaning through movement and cutting. Wise understood that film is primarily a visual medium. The edit is where the movie actually gets made. 3. The Day the Earth Stood Still, 1951. Wise called this one of his personal favorites among his own films. Michael Rennie as Klaatu, the alien visitor warning Earth about nuclear destruction. Patricia Neal as the woman who helps him. Bernard Herrmann's theremin score that sounds like the future warning the present.
We shall be waiting for your answer. The decision rests with you.
This was science fiction taken absolutely seriously. Most 1950s sci-fi films were camp. The Day the Earth Stood Still was philosophy disguised as genre. Edmund North's screenplay addresses Cold War paranoia, humanity's self-destructive impulses, and whether we deserve to survive our own worst instincts. Klaatu isn't a monster. He's a disappointed teacher watching his students fail basic ethics. Wise directed the material with zero irony. He used real newsreel reporters covering Klaatu's landing. He shot Washington, D.C. locations to ground the fantasy in reality. The film's message was radical for 1951. Humans are the real monsters. Our greed and closed-mindedness will destroy us. Shape up or the universe will eliminate the threat. That moral seriousness elevated genre filmmaking forever. 2. The Grapes of Wrath, 1940. John Ford's adaptation of Steinbeck's Depression epic. Greg Toland's cinematography makes Oklahoma dust look like the end of civilization. The Joad family fleeing to California. Tom Joad's final speech about being everywhere people struggle.
Wait till I get to California. I'm going to reach up and pick me orange.
This is American cinema confronting America's failure to protect its own people. Wise was a lifelong liberal who contributed to the ACLU. The Grapes of Wrath showed him that popular cinema could carry social conscience, that you didn't need to make propaganda to make a difference. Just tell the truth about working-class survival. Show dignity in poverty. Make audiences see themselves in people they'd normally ignore. This film influenced Wise's commitment to racial tolerance in his own work. The setup featured African-American characters with complexity. Odds Against Tomorrow dealt with racism destroying a heist crew. West Side Story made immigrant gang warfare into Shakespeare. Wise learned from Ford that entertainment and social commentary aren't opposites. They're partners. The best films do both simultaneously. 1. Citizen Kane, 1941. The film that changed Robert Wise's life. Orson Welles was 25 years old and had never made a movie. RKO assigned an older editor. Welles fired him and hired Wise, who was 26. They were kids making the greatest film of all time.
That's just one word.
Rosebud.
Not only that, tough guy. Yes, Rosebud. Guys calling just that one word.
Neither of them knew it yet. Wise assembled the famous breakfast sequence that shows Kane's first marriage dissolving across years. Welles shot the scenes. Wise created the rhythm through editing and whip pans. The pacing, the feeling of time accelerating, that was done in the cutting room. Welles taught Wise about deep focus photography, about how lighting creates psychology. Greg Toland showed both of them what a camera could really do. Wise received his first Oscar nomination for editing Citizen Kane. Everything he learned about sound, about shadow, about rhythm, about ambition, came from working with Welles on this film. 40 years later, he'd reconcile with Welles about the magnificent Ambersons. But Citizen Kane was where it all began. The shipping room kid became a master by cutting a masterpiece. From film editor to four-time Oscar winner, Robert Wise learned by watching masters work. His favorites reveal a craftsman studying craft across genres and decades. 8 decades of excellence in service of stories, not ego. Subscribe for more cinema history and the invisible artists who built Hollywood's golden age.